Hello fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the hobby. Concrete Banger is back again today with another one of its notorious episodes. On today's episode, guys, we are starting to do some work on our Land Rover 109 LWB from Italeri in 1/35 scale and kit number 6508. Not a lot to note. Me and Past George have assembled the chassis. Straightforward, but it needed a lot of sanding because there were a lot of seam lines and injection mold marks. Apart that, the build is processing nicely without any issues or any setbacks at all, and I am really happy with it. So, since I have nothing further to note and nothing to talk about, I don't want to bore you guys any longer. You all know the drill. Grab yourselves a seat, make yourselves comfortable, and crack the mandatory cold one or a hot brew, depending where you are in the world and what time it is right now, and let's see what me and Past George have put it together in this episode for you guys. Welcome to part 1 of our Land Rover build, guys. I'm not gonna talk much, I'm gonna cut straight to the chase and grab the instructions so we can start as soon as possible. So I am going to follow the instructions as best as I can and as possible as it is. Most of you guys know why, but for the guys that visit the channel for the first time, I am going to explain right now. I mainly tend to deviate a little bit from the instructions, mainly because I like to detail paint everything and treat each piece like it's been a separate model kit. That's my OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. one of my OCDs. So immediately on step number 1, which is the step we're gonna start from, we have to attach the front diff, the leaf spring suspension system. This is the transmission, a part of the transmission to the chassis. So this is the thing that we're gonna do at step number 1. But before I start, I wanna talk about some stuff first. So I have cut all the parts from the sprues. This is our leaf spring suspension system, the front diff parts sub-assembly, and here is the transmission, part of the transmission, but those are okay. Those are okays. I want you guys your attention over here at the chassis. The chassis is a little bit troublesome, mainly because, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 visible injection mold marks, which 16, 17 to be honest with you, which I have to take care if I want this to be a little bit realistic. Now, you may ask me, who's gonna flip the thing over? Nobody's gonna flip the thing over, but in the future, if everything goes as planned, I suppose that I will show you the undercarriage of the Land Rover. So I don't want to show you something with mold marks, with injection mold marks. So that's my first, the first thing that I am going to do, apart of the usual stuff. it is to take care of all those injection mold marks onto the chassis right now, because right now it is the time for me to do it. This is the time for me, mainly because it has no parts glue on them, and we are as free as possible to work on it without worrying about doing any damage to any sub-assembly that we have attached at our chassis. Well guys, after a lot of sanding and filling, not a lot of filling, but anyway, with putty I mean, here is the result. I have cleaned all the majority of the chassis from injection mold marks and seam lines. I have scoured clean everything, to be honest with you, over here at the sides, at the inner chassis rails over here, and whatever was located around here. So I reckon that now we are ready to officially start at least with step number 1 of the instructions. So let's move this aside for a bit. The first thing that we're gonna glue together is the front diff, which is consisted by those two parts. So let me grab one of them, let's hold it, let's apply some glue, and let's officially start the Land Rover project. So there, as you can clearly see, there are two pins. They should supposedly they should line up with two holes on the other piece. Supposedly, yep, that's it. Like a glove, and now we momentarily will leave it aside for the time being. So now we need to grab the chassis and attach the transmission cover, which is none other than this little piece over here. This will need to go here on top of those two holes and that rectangular gap. There is two holes and there is two pins underneath. And let's go. Okay. Now, this is a part that we need to be extra careful. We have two identical pieces, which is none other than the leaf spring assemblies. This is piece 5A and this is piece 6A. Now, what's the difference between them? If you flip it like so, you can clearly tell that the difference, it's the orientation, to be honest with you guys, so you have to be extra careful. And this triangular shape needs to look at the front of the vehicle, and this oval shape over here needs to look towards the back. Hopefully that made sense and I have helped you. Okay, now we need to apply glue over here in the small hole in the front, and over here exactly where my glue tip is. We have to grab one of our two leaf spring assemblies attached over here, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now, just before this thing dries, we need to attach the front diff assembly. This need to go like so, with a longer piece towards that way, and the chassis oriented like so. Let me apply my glue over here. And over here, this is the mounting points. Wish me luck, guys. This is going to be a little bit fiddly. Okay. Let's make sure that everything is square. Yep. And we are good to go. So this marks the completion of step number 1 of the instructions. Let me grab the instructions and start erasing stuff. And let me talk about something a bit quick. So let's erase. So what we have done this sub-assembly, attached it over here, done that, and done that. So step number 1 is complete, and we need to move on to step number 2. Upon step number 2, we have to feed the main axle together with the transfer case and the exhaust system through this chassis rail. Normally, if you remember from my previous build, I would leave all these parts aside, detail paint them, and do that, and do the assembly at the very end. This time we're gonna do the exact opposite thing. I am going to attach the majority of the stuff and detail paint them, while they are on the vehicle. Now that I have the 3 pieces that I need for step number 2 done, clean and dusted, it is time for us to begin. Now, what's our first thing? The first thing we will do, we will hold, the chassis rail, and we will feed through the exhaust system. Keep in mind the two collectors over here will need to point towards the end of the vehicle, and we don't insert the exhaust in this hole, we insert it over here on that one. And I am doing that right now mainly because this is time to do it. It is easier for me to insert the exhaust system onto the chassis right now. So chassis rail we need to be placed over here, and I am gonna show you exactly like this, yeah, almost. Okay, needs a little bit tweaking because it stands on the way. So, and the tip of the beginning of the exhaust pipe needs to be connected over here at this hole, which is something that I am going to do instantly, if possible. Yeah, right. I will need to apply some glue over there. Let's apply glue to our chassis rail. First of all, here and come on. in here, and let's apply glue to our exhaust connection hole. So this we need to go there. I will also glue one of the exhaust collectors over here and glue the other one over there. This will hopefully keep everything in place. Now I will need to feed through the other hole, through the remaining hole of the chassis rail, this one, our main axle together with the transfer case. So this will need to be fed through the front, oriented like this, like you see me holding it with my tweezers. Needs to pass above the second chassis rail, the one that we attached. I named it the first, this one is the second, and then this triangular piece needs to sit on top of the two holes that you see over here, exactly where the end of my tweezers is. And apart that, this pin needs to be inserted over here at the front diff. And if you do all that, all those tweaks I described, or I tried to describe, this will be the end of step number 2. Oh, come on. As always, when I was test fitting the parts, everything went smoothly. Oh, come on. I cannot line it up properly. But eventually I will, like so. Exactly in place. So upon completion of part number 2 of the instructions, this is what you are supposed to be looking at. We attached the exhaust system, the main axle together with the transfer case, and this chassis rail. So let me grab the instructions. Zoom out a little bit because I want you guys to be in frame. I'm gonna be extra careful so I can film everything in frame. Done, 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 and dusted. So now we move on to step number 3, and on step number 3, what do we have? Ooh, quite a busy one. So we have to create the rear diff, attach the rear leaf spring suspension system, 2 more chassis rails over here, and the 2 shock absorbers. Okay guys, all parts for step number 3 of the instructions are clean and ready to be placed. So I'm gonna do things in a specific order, mainly because it will be easier for me to proceed with this step. and I'll try to explain as best as I can while I do this. So I'm gonna start first with the subassembly of the rear diff, which is none other than those two pieces over here. Let's grab them, apply some much needed glue. Of course, there are location points and pins, and it is almost impossible for you to place the parts wrong. So now we have our rear diff. We're gonna leave it aside for a moment, let it dry, let it cure for at least for a bit, and then we're gonna continue with the attachment of the front suspension coilovers, the shock absorbers, not coilovers, sorry. So, okay, I have just spilled some extra glue, some extra thing to my workbench. Anyway, we're gonna remedy that later. So, where was I? Okay, shock absorber time. I have done a mistake, and somewhere here was the shock absorber's mounting point. It wasn't clear to me if it was a mounting point or anything, so as you can probably guess, guys, I have sanded it down. Anyway, it is what it is right now. We're gonna place the thing in a little bit iffy position. So the bottom of the shock absorber needs to be fed through that hole over there at the leaf spring assembly, and the rest of it is going to be placed somewhere here. I suppose, I guess, I believe. Not all the way back there, but here I believe it's almost fine. This is where the original position, somewhere where the original position was supposed to be before I sanded it down. Let's do the same thing from the other side. Feed the pin through that hole. Come on, darling. Yep, right, so, like so. And this should be somewhere there. Yeah. Okay, looks like I have them in place. Now we need to attach two chassis rails, two chassis connection points. The first one is this one, the second one is that one. So first one will go on top, no, over here, and this and that mounting point. Let's apply our glue. Let's flip the thing this way, grab our chassis rail, and try to place it, try to position it. Come on, yeah, like a glove, almost. Oh, that clicked in place. Yeah, that's it. Let me, yeah, make sure that this was in place. So the second one needs to go over here at this and that mounting point. Same procedure. And let's see. Well, that was easy. And now the only thing that left now is to position the two rear leaf spring assemblies and the rear diff subassembly. This is gonna be similar with how we positioned the front diff, which means that first we need to position the leaf spring assemblies. Make sure that they are oriented right. Okay. Apply glue to this mounting point as well. And let's do the same thing from the other side. Straightforward and easy, guys. So far the build is proceeding nicely. Okay, it needs some parts need some extra care, and when I say extra care, I am talking about a lot of seam lines and mold injection marks needed to be either filled or sanded down, but it is what it is. We are talking about a really old kit. So now that those two are in place, we need to place the rear diff. Now the longer shaft, and when I am talking about shaft, I am talking about this, where the end of my tweezers here needs to be oriented like this. So we will feed the main axle to this hole and those two knobs to its respective position. Now, once again, glue application, guys. Wish me luck. Let's see if I can nail it in the first go. So I'm gonna feed it through here first. Come on, then through the other, and no. Yeah. Now I think that this is good. Let me double check, see if everything looks square at least. See, some minor adjustments needed to be done. And with that done, we have completed step number 3 of the instruction. This concludes step number 3. And if you, of course, as always, if you're following my build, here is what you are supposed to be looking at. Let's put this aside for the time being, grab our instructions and start erasing parts we have placed. So, shock absorbers are in place, 2 chassis rails are in place, rear diff sub-assembly done, attachment of the rear diff is also done, and we have also attached the rear leaf spring suspension system. So now we move on to step number 4, which as you can see is a little bit not busy, a little bit complex, I will say. And now we will proceed with the first fiddlier part of the build, which is none other than step number 4. Now on step number 4 we have to attach the rear bumper, which must be one of the easiest parts of this step. And let me flip the chassis. The rear bumper, I said. Yeah, the rear one. So, rear bumper needs to be attached over here. Sorry for my momentary pause, but I had to take a good look at the instructions. So rear bumper will sit on top of the chassis, at the end of the chassis, like so. There are connection points over here, as you can see, and we need to place it over here, I think. Yeah, and that's the easy part done. Now let's flip this thing around like so. We have to attach the steering column, which is, this is the fiddliest part. Let me do something that I forgot to do. Sorry guys. So this thingy-majingy over here, this, to be particular, this pin needs to be placed over. Oh no, what I have done? Damn it, I forgot. Sorry guys. So this needs to be placed at that hole over there, and one of the other ends needs to be placed there, exactly where the tip of my tweezers are. Sorry. So let's apply glue first of all, just in case we nail the positioning, just in case, you know. And let's start. Now probably you won't be able to see much because I believe that my fingers will get on the way, but ooh, nailed it. So as you can see, one of the rods attaches itself over there, and it comes through that hole. Now I also have to attach these parts, which is the wheel hubs, if I am not mistaken, that's how they are called. And these things have to go one on this side. Oriented like this. I am going to show you. Oriented like this. And the same applies to the other side as well, with the exact same orientation of the part. Let's repeat it. And this will meet with the steering column, and this part will meet also the steering column, as you can see over here, exactly where I apply my glue. So I suppose that everything fell in place, almost everything. And now we have this, which is the connection of the wheel hubs. I have to fit, I have to fit it in between the leaf spring system. Oh god, that's fiddly. I don't know how much you can see, probably not much. If any. Come on, darling, will you help me a little bit over here? I'm struggling. Ooh. Click in place, yes. And click in place as well. Yeah. Let's make sure that everything is square. Okay. Oh, that was a power shortage. Sorry guys, we have a storm raging outside. Oof. I want to make sure that everything is square, that's why I am doing this. Okay. Lovely. Whew. That was kinda fiddly. So that's what you are supposed to be looking at upon completion of step number 4 of the instructions. And that, if I am not mistaken, concludes our work on the chassis. Now I should probably stop recording over here and separate the chassis assembly from the rest of the build. Let me see how much footage I have gathered, and I am going to be back. Oh, before me checking the footage, let's erase. Let's take some notes for future George. Done, 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 done. Yeah, that's everything clear. So, yeah. As I said, step number 5, we have the wheel assembly and attachment of the wheels onto the vehicle. We also have body panels getting attached together with the firewall, and then we proceed onto the interior. So I suppose that it is probably a good time for me to wrap this episode. Well guys, I have checked my footage and I think that I have accumulated enough for the creation of an episode. Let's keep it sweet and neat, and let's separate it. Let's stop at this stage, where all the work on the chassis is done. So, with all that said and done, we have made it to the end of this episode. Obviously, on our next episode we will probably start working onto the rest of the build. I mean, some interior or exterior body panels. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and interesting, and stick along for the next one. Before I go, I want to thank each and every one of you guys that watched this video. A special thank you to all my subscribers, old and new ones, sorry. You guys are the best and you are the reason I keep doing these videos. Now, for the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, it was that Morphodemon signing out.